to those of you joining us from Asia. And I'm sorry to those of you joining us from Europe and the Middle East, as I do believe this is the middle of the night for you. So welcome everyone. It does take a little while to load everyone in, so please bear with us. If I could get someone to just put a note in the chat that you can turn on the live transcript if people don't realize that. So we do have the closed captioning available. And welcome to those of you joining us from all parts of the world. We are so pleased to have you here. We do have a very full house today, so it will take us a couple of minutes for everyone to sort of load in to the webinar. Great turnout, wonderful. Thank you for joining us at whatever hour of the day it is, wherever you are. We have a great panel for you today. And it looks like the loading is starting to slow, so I think we can go ahead and get started. So thank you all for joining us. First of all, I'll introduce myself, Jillian Hayes, Dean of the Graduate Division here at UCI. And if you are on this webinar, then you were probably admitted to one of our graduate programs this fall. And we are just so excited. That means that you are an incredibly smart, hardworking, wonderful person who is going to be really successful. And we are just so pleased. We hope that you have already committed to coming to UCI this fall, but if you haven't yet, hopefully we can answer lots of questions for you today and convince you that this is absolutely the university and the graduate program for you. We have a great panel with us today, and they're each going to speak for just a couple of minutes and give you some background and some resources on what makes UCI such a special place. And then we really encourage you to put lots of questions into the Q&A. I'm excited to see that someone has already typed a question in, so wonderful. We will get to those for sure, so keep putting them in even as people are talking. They may answer your question throughout their opening remarks, or if not, we'll get to them afterwards and start the Q&A. So I am going to start today with Gabriella Pham, who supports our international students from the graduate division, and she can tell you a bit about what we do to help you.
Thank you, Jillian. Good evening, good morning, and hello to everyone. I'm so glad that you're here and that we're able to connect with you today to help you make that decision, just like Jillian said, that UCI is the school for you. My name is Gabriella Pham. I'm the International Student Support Officer in Graduate Division. So in my role, I manage the Graduate Interconnect program at the GIC Peer Mentors, and I also work with your schools and our university services to help provide you with academic, professional, and wellness support. So really, at the end of the day, my goal is to really help you acclimate as an international student to our university and to help navigate graduate school. So what I wanted to share with you is that we know that this year has been incredibly difficult. This past year alone for international students trying to navigate COVID-19 and the immigration regulations has been very difficult, but we want to try to make it as seamless as possible. And so beyond myself, there's going to be a bunch of other people on the panel that are going to provide information and services to really make it as seamless as possible. So one thing that you can look forward to this summer, which is really unique to UCI, is getting connected with a peer mentor. So this is through the Graduate Interconnect program. It's one of a kind at a university. So these are going to be experienced graduate students who are from all different backgrounds and different fields, and they're going to help link you to the campus. So it's nice to have administrators just like us on the panel to give you lots of information, but nothing's better than to have an actual peer to help kind of distill the information, really tell you the nuances, and really tell you what it really is to be a graduate student. So you can expect that during the summer. Once you accept, a peer mentor, a graduate student will reach out to you, and we'll start to supply you with information from how to secure housing, how to get a driver's license, where to go grocery shopping, all of the things that you need to know that it's really difficult to do while you're in a different country, but at least you have some sort of support and a graduate student who's experienced that process. Right now, there's going to be a lot of information on what's going on. And so it's nice to have a peer mentor, again, distill that information and also ask questions that might not be in the information you're receiving that might be unique to yourself. even though you are just with one peer mentor, they are well connected in different programs in different schools and amongst each other. So they will help find the information for you. And it's also a great opportunity to meet with other students. One thing that I really like about graduate division in UCI is that we have a very strong community with different subpopulations. Our international community is very strong, and we start that because we're connected during the summer. It's always been a virtual process, so even more so, we're leaning into it this year. So we're going to have lots of events during the summer. So once you say yes, you'll be in our program, you get connected. We've had game nights, so odd hours of the time, getting to share our backgrounds and experiences, but it's a great way to create community. The next thing that you can look forward to is a very comprehensive graduate welcome orientation that will be happening throughout the summer and just right before fall quarter starts. So even though we wanted an in-person orientation, that's not possible, but trust us, we put in a lot of work this past year to make sure that is an informative orientation, that it can be done virtually. And it will just cover topics on academic success, health and wellness, diversity, professional development, and even student involvement. So we've really laid out the groundwork to make sure that you are successful and that you transition really well, keeping in mind all of the challenges that might happen because you're an international student. So I'm happy to answer other questions that you might have. Just put them in the chat, and I look forward to connecting. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Gabriella. And speaking of our wonderful graduate students who are already here and ready to support you, we do have one of your wonderful elected AGS reps here with us today. That's the Associated Graduate Students, and that is your elected student government, and they are really supportive of international students. So we're going to turn over to them to kind of talk a little bit about the work that AGS is doing to support you.
All right, thank you for the introduction. My name is Thomas Shinova. I am a second-year public policy master's student and the current elected external affairs vice president for the Associated Graduate Students. I, of course, want to thank Dean Hayes for extending the invitation to meet with UCI's new incoming international students. We're all, of course, very excited to have you. For those wondering what AGS is, we are an unincorporated association of the state of California and the recognized graduate student government here at the university. The organizational makeup of this student government includes our president, the 5 vice presidents like myself, and a council of student representatives elected by each academic unit. Each of these positions are also operating on 1-year terms. Our role on campus is to advocate on behalf of UCI's graduate and professional student population, and the council representatives from nearly every graduate program and professional program as well on campus play an instrumental role in the organization. These individuals provide necessary insight into what students are thinking and feeling, and those conversations actively guide our discussions with UCI administrators like Dean Hayes, Chancellor Gilman, and UC President Michael Drake. Like all things that have been unpredictable this year, the Associated Graduate Students has shifted to an online format to ensure that we can maintain our organizational operations. Throughout this year, we've hosted various raffles, gift card giveaways. The Vice President of Social Affairs has been active in hosting online game nights, live cooking instructionals, and dance parties to get people up and moving around. Our Vice President of Internal Affairs has made great strides in improving graduate student housing and also instituting additional transparency for our campus policing so our campus is safer. As your current External Affairs VP, my office has worked on various local, state, and federal policy projects throughout the year and has advocated specifically for international student visa protections, as well as additional mental health services and program funding. So whether it is our president or my fellow vice presidents, we are continuously working to improve the graduate student experience at UCI. We're excited to have you all start here and encourage everyone to not only reach out, but to become active with the Associated Graduate Students. And thank you again, Dean Hayes, and everyone, we're glad to see you.
Thank you. That was a super comprehensive overview. Really appreciate that. We hope you will all certainly get involved in AGS once you arrive here in the fall. I want to switch gears a little bit. We know that this last year has been really tough from a sort of wellness and mental health and support space. And I've been really impressed with the work that our campus has done to support our students, even quite at a distance. So want to welcome Marcel Hayashida now, who can talk a little bit about some of the services that are available to you all should you choose to come here. And she's got pretty slides for you as well. So we'll go ahead and cue those up too.
Thank you so much. Thanks for the introduction. Thanks for the invitation. And just congratulations, first of all, to all of you. And we wish you really good luck in your graduate school journey. I'm going to go over a lot of information in a very rapid pace. Please know that all this information is available on our websites, online. Also happy to answer questions kind of offline as well. So I'll start first with our counseling center. The most important information for you for the counseling center, and we'll advance the slide, please, thanks, is that there is no charge for services. It is our first stop for individual, couples, family therapy. We also do one-session counseling appointments. We have drop-in groups for meditation, for parent support, programs for international students, programs for resilience training. We also have urgent care and after hours for telephone crisis support, and a variety of workshop series and peer programs as well. So we want you to think of that as kind of your first stop for mental health support. Another office that we have on campus is our Disability Services Center. Services are also free. And perhaps you're coming to campus with a history with a chronic medical condition or ADHD, or maybe you break your leg when you come to campus accidentally. We provide accommodations for chronic, permanent, and also temporary disabilities as well. Technology assistance, note takers, readers, scribes. We can even drive you around campus if you did, need some mobility assistance. We can drive you to your classes, not to everywhere, but definitely to your classes. And there are all kinds of disability awareness events as you teach classes and as you take classes as well. Our next slide, we'll talk to you a bit about Student Health Center. It's where you would go if you were on UCI's insurance. Visits are billed to your insurance like any doctor in the United States. You may have some co-pays as well, and insurance charges apply. We have board certified medical professionals with expertise on a variety of health issues. We have a lab and radiology and a pharmacy on site. There are lots of other specialty clinics, in the area, specialists in the area, but we do think we do a pretty good job of doing most of the things that you're going to need while you're in graduate school. We also have telehealth visits so that you can get a lot of your care just in the comfort of your own home. And then CARE is our resource for stalking, intimate partner violence, sexual assault support. We have a variety of programs for healing, peer programs, other kinds of bystander intervention programs as well, if you want to take an active role in keeping our campus safe from violence. Next slide is campus recreation, really popular destination. We have been partially open even during the pandemic. Access to the gym, you've already paid for that with your student fees. There are special fees for certain services or like cooking classes. We do have an indoor facility with gyms and courts and weight rooms and a rock wall and a demo kitchen, massage therapy, fitness testing, all kinds of club sports. Classes like CPR and first aid and martial arts and dance and outdoor programs as well. Southern California is beautiful all year round. So we do have an outdoor ropes course and kayaking and hiking and things like that. It's a really beautiful place to be. We also have our Center for Student Wellness and Health Promotion for preventative care, also free. And you can get information about alcohol and other drugs, relationship health, well-being, self-care. You can meet with the nutritionists. And there are a variety of peer programs as well. And we've seen over the year graduate students taking more advantage of this particular center. Okay, perhaps many of you are interested in our next slide, which has information about child care. If you're bringing a little one to campus, again, please know that we have a variety of centers, 5 facilities, where we see children ages 3 months to 12 years old, after school programs. Some of our care can be subsidized. So if you are eligible for a grant, has to do with your income, you would communicate with child care and perhaps be able to get a grant to subsidize some of that care. Yeah, so that's what I'll say about that. And then we also have a campus worker office, which provides a lot of case management. Again, another free service for you. We have social workers who provide support if there are food security issues or housing security issues. Let's say you were in the hospital and you need some help with your classes, or someone to help you advocate maybe with your advisor. We have a variety of online resources, but we can help you advocate to get the help that you need. Maybe not mental health care, but other kinds of services for you. And the last thing I'll say is that, again, we are part of a system. Yes, thanks, you can advance it. We are part of a system. So one reason to, come to the UC system is that we talk with our counterparts across the system. We are working on the system-wide Healthy Campus Network to provide resources for you, so that we're not just providing wellness services or health care, but that we're really creating a campus that promotes health, that has places that you can get fresh water, that has beautiful paths that you can walk on, that has wellness policies embedded in the very policies. So we do want to say as well that we're looking forward to welcoming you here and to supporting your holistic well-being. And we'll take questions in the chat or later on if you are so inclined. Thanks.
Thank you so much. And I should also add the system-wide, I'm actually the grad dean who represents graduate student interests on the system-wide mental health student committee. So definitely I can confirm that system-wide we really care. And this is one of the strengths of being at the University of California. And I saw from some of the questions that at least some of you are at another UC campus now and then joining us for your next degree. So that's great that you're already seeing the sort of strength of the multi-campus system. Don't worry, I'm intentionally holding off our director of the International Center as well as our housing folks to the end of the panel time, because the vast majority of your questions are for the two of them. So we're sort of letting those queue up. So we'll do one more before we get to the two of them, which is Ruth Quinnen, who heads up all of the student affairs and academic affairs services for Grad Division. So she can answer many of your detailed questions about transcripts and getting into the programs and all of those kinds of things. All of those folks are under her. So over to Ruth.
Hi, everybody. I'm Ruth Quinnen, Director of Academic and Student Affairs for the Grad Division. Glad to see everybody virtually, and we really hope you decide to come to UCI if you are still making up your mind. And for those who already have, we're delighted to have you, and we're really looking forward to seeing you in the fall. Basically, as Jillian said, I oversee a lot of the student affairs and academic affairs areas within the grad division. So that means recruitment and retention, admissions, degree processing, and new academic program development. I also am the primary liaison between grad division and housing, grad division and the student health center. I work closely with people in Marcel's office and many of the offices across campus. And we always work very closely with students. If students have any issues whatsoever, they're encouraged to come to our office. We have a graduate academic counselor who's wonderful. His name is Dr. Fong Luong. He sees students individually, but also in groups. He helps students, have conversations with their advisors if they're having a difficult time. He gives plenty of workshops to help students with time management, work-life balance, imposter syndrome, which is something that students occasionally are troubled by or experience, and he's just wonderful. He also teaches yoga classes and all kinds of things. So he's kind of our wellness guru in the graduate division. But I work closely with students and their programs and faculty. Anytime students are having any kind of issues, you are more than welcome to come and contact me, and we'll see what kind of resources we can put at your disposal and what you need to help and be successful as students, and also to have the best graduate student experience you possibly can. So Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ruth. Okay, and now the moment that you've all been waiting for. We'll go over to Tim Trevin, our Executive Director of Student Housing, and his wonderful team, who can tell you a bit about what's going on, as well as I see they've already been answering questions in the Q&A, but they can do some of the question answering verbally as well.
Thanks, Dean Hayes. It's so rare that we are the superstars of a of a not a podcast, but a Zoomcast. So it's kind of exciting to be the stars of the show. So we are thrilled to have you potentially joining us in the fall. With me today, I have Gretchen Verdugo, who is our analyst for grad and family housing. She's a wonderful resource, and I see she's already been answering questions. I also have Laura Dorfman, who is our director for Verano Place Housing, one of our 3 housing communities for graduate students, specifically for graduate students. The other 2 are Palo Verde and Campus Village. We don't integrate undergrad and grad housing, so all of our housing areas for graduate students are discrete to our graduate students. We house about 2,600 graduate students, a little bit more, a little bit less, depending on the year. And then we also have between 800 and sometimes upward toward 1,000 dependents, spouses, partners, and others that live with our students. So generally around 3,500 bodies that are living with us in grad and family housing. And that's in an overall community of about 16,000 students who live in campus housing. So we're a little bit of a city amongst ourselves. We are expanding as we speak. We have about 1,000 new beds that are being built in the Verano Place footprint. This is our first high-rise living for graduate students. This community, which will again be part of the Verano Place community, will house about 1,050 students. It will be mostly for, in fact, entirely for single students. What that does then is it permits us to open up other communities, primarily for families and other populations. So everybody gets more access to more housing. Right now, we have a guarantee for all of our students who are in terminal degree programs, including MFA, law, and then not all of our medical students, but the medical students who are in some of our MD and MBA programs. And Gretchen and Laura can talk a little bit more about that. The guarantee provides you a housing normative time degree minus 1 year of housing, but we are excited that we are going to be proposing to Academic Senate extending that guarantee to normative time. So hopefully by the time you arrive, we will have a guarantee that takes you all the way to the normative time of your degree. We're also hopeful that when we add 1,000 new beds in Verano Place, that we'll be able to offer a guarantee to other students. We know that master's students have needs as well, and so we'll be continually assessing to see if we have space to offer a guarantee there as well, but that's all very tentative at this point. So I'm going to stop there and turn it over to our real experts, who are Laura and Gretchen. So Laura, why don't you introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is Laura Dorfman. I'm the acting director for Verano Place, one of the 3 graduate, technically one of 5. We also offer American Campus Communities, which is a partnership. Then they also serve the guarantee as well, but one of our housing communities. I was thinking about what to share with you, and Tim shared some great things, and Gretchen will, I'm sure, speak about the guarantee, but I thought it just might be nice to talk about a little bit of what you can expect living here. You know, if this were a year ago, I would just say, it's so great and here's all the reasons why. And I'm sure many of you are thinking, well, with the pandemic, what is life like? And so that's what I thought I would focus on. And is that we are really focusing on the return, returning to, as we were coming out of some of these more restrictive spaces, opportunities for in-person engagement and interactions that are physically distant and safer, perhaps. But we are looking at returning to programming, offering additional amenities, getting folks back out there. Recently, housing actually delivered a blanket to all of the residents in the community so they could go outside and be physically distant with each other. And they're big and they create space. And so we have a really great environment to get people outdoors and get people engaged with each other. And so that's something that you can expect. We do have staff available for support 24 hours a day. Should you need something while you're living in housing, emergency maintenance, all those types of things. And we are looking to continue to grow especially with the opening of Verona Way, to grow our engagement and to grow those opportunities. We have between our communities, wellness centers, basketball, volleyball, places to be fit, all those types of things. And we're building in a community center as well as some really beautiful outdoor spaces. We have gardens. So there's a lot of ways for you to do great self-care while you're here. Having met many of you through my years working with students, you're all brilliant and are going to change the world. So you have to take care of yourselves in the process. And Grad and Family Housing provides a really nice landing spot for when you come and gives you a chance to really take care of yourself in the process. And the staff really prides themselves in caring for the student and trying to provide whatever help you need along the way. So I will transition it over to Gretchen and mute myself because there are several people right outside my door getting ready to leave for the day.
Hi, I'm Gretchen Verdugo, and I am the Graduate and Family Housing Analyst. And I serve as the point person for everything having to do with the housing guarantee. So please, any question at all related to the guarantee or graduate housing related, please reach out to the grad status email. And I'd be happy to call you back or Zoom with you or however you would like. Definitely want to make sure that you're fully informed and can access the full value of your housing guarantee and a ton of other questions that just always come up along the way. We're really looking forward to welcoming all of our students back to campus, but definitely excited about all of you and congratulations on your new academic program. You may have questions related to that and how the housing guarantee fits with your program or questions about the communities, specific floor plan questions, anything from A to Z. Grad status is your resource, so please reach out to me and I look forward to speaking with you. Thanks.
Thank you so much. And last but not least, I hope she's still there because she flipped her camera off. Oh, good, she's still there. Anna Wimberly, our Director of International Center. You have almost all certainly been in touch with some of her staff somewhere, somehow, or will be very soon. I see lots of questions that she's already been answering in the chat as well. So over to you, Anna.
Thank you so much, Shane Hayes. Hi, everyone. Congratulations on your admissions to UCI. We're certainly excited to meet you in the fall and hope that you make UCI your choice. My name is Anna Wimberly. I am the director of the International Center. I'm also a UCI alum, so I have a lot of Antioch pride. So to tell you a little bit about the International Center. So the International Center is going to be your primary contact for any visa-related situation, advice, and so forth. And we really are involved with you from pre-arrival until after graduation. So I know many of you have plans to work in the US after graduation. So we will continue to be your point of contact way after you graduate from UCI. So really, we are very involved in everything you will do. So a lot of the decisions you make while you're at UCI will have some kind of impact on your visa status. So whether it's academic, professional development, even personal life, if you change your name, if you get married, you know, that's information that you need to let us know so that we can update all your visa documents and so forth. And with that, we also, we interact with all different partners on campus. So if there's ever a need or a question that you feel that you need assistance with, you know, feel free to reach out to us. If we don't know the answer, we certainly will find the person on campus that can provide that answer for you. And vice versa. I know, we interact with everyone on campus to make sure that all of your questions and needs are being met. With that, I do want to highlight the International Center website. There is a lot of information there, and I know it could be a little bit overwhelming, but it is organized in a way that, so right now you want to focus on your pre-arrival information. So there is a pre-arrival new student section on the website. So you want to focus on that. And there's also information about post-completion as well. I know a lot of you already have questions about CPT, so there's information about that as well. So I want to highlight that. So information on the website, it's there. If you don't find what you need, we also do have advisors on staff that could provide assistance. Last year, when we started working remotely, we introduced Ask an Advisor drop-in session. So if you don't want to send us an email, if you want to meet with someone, you have the ability to do that on a drop-in basis. So you don't have to wait for 2 days to get a response and so forth through email. So I know the million-dollar question is, when are the consulates going to open up? And that is slowly starting to happen. The Department of State hasn't really come out and said, sort of set a schedule of when they will open up, but they are opening up. And when they open up will vary depending on the country you're at, the conditions of your country in terms of COVID-19, and also the staffing at the Department of State visa offices. So what I would encourage you to do, there is a COVID-19 page on the International Center website, and we are sort of maintaining that pretty accurately with all the information that we are getting as well from the US government, as well as any sort of travel bans that are still in place. So there are travel bans because of COVID-19. And hopefully, as conditions get a little bit better, that's going to start being eliminated. So hopefully you will get your visa documents quickly. We are still sending electronic I-20, so you don't have to worry about or wait for mail of the I-20 document. You will get that in an electronic format. As of today, April 6th, the US government is still allowing us to do electronic I-20s, but that may also change. So I highly encourage you to visit that COVID-19 page frequently, because we will update that as we get new information. We also will be sending you emails as well. So you get an email from the International Center, it's not spam. We really do want to communicate with you. And we are very careful about not sending too much email, because we know that could get overwhelming as well. And with that, I think I know there are a lot of questions about I-20, so I'm trying to answer those through the chat because they're very specific to individual cases. But if I don't get to your questions, feel free to email the International Center main account. And if our front office doesn't have the answer or is it a complicated question, they will assign it to one of our advisors and they will follow up with you. So again, welcome to UCI, and I hope to meet you in the fall. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Well, I've still got you. We do have a lot of upvotes on the, do we have to mail our transcripts and degree certification before we get the I-20? So while you're here, let's get you to answer that one since it's so popular.
So I'm going to say no, because we don't get involved with the transcript. That gets sent to the departments, I'm assuming. Ruth, or grad division?
It actually gets sent to grad division. It gets sent to your office. So no, you don't need to submit your transcripts before requesting an I-20. They should be mailed, or you can bring them to campus when you come in the fall.
Great, thank you so much. That was a very popular one. We also have another very popular one that I'm going to go ahead and answer, which is that fall 2021 will be both online and in person, as is whatever your normal degree program is. So if you are in a degree program that is largely online, it will obviously remain largely online. But if you are in a degree program that in a non-COVID year is expected to be fully in person, then for our graduate programs, we expect to be fully in person. And this is where I get to take a moment to really brag on UCI and California in our COVID response. So California does have the lowest rates I saw in the news this morning of anywhere in the US, which is great. It's a very safe place to be. So if you're thinking about, is California a good place for me to be in a post-COVID world, or even in a sort of still COVID world, the answer is yes. And UCI, if you look at all of the maps and all of the everything, our rates have been incredibly low the entire year. A lot of that has to do with our wonderful students. So I'm going to give Thomas and his crew a lot of credit, wearing their masks, doing all of the physical distancing, doing everything that we want them doing. It is a great place to be, and we fully expect to be in person in the fall, living, working, learning here together. So let me pass over, let's see. A question, we've got a few questions about how do we get in touch with alumni or even current students in programs. And there are a lot of the questions in the question are about specific programs, but I'm going to ask Thomas if he doesn't mind answering for sort of a more general case, how we get in touch with those folks.
So one of the methods that I've used to get in touch with alumni is to of course, use social media however you can. LinkedIn is a wonderful resource. I know a student has made a comment or a question stating to reach out via LinkedIn, so I would definitely recommend going there. And I'd also reach out to your department director. They may have a specific alumni association. I can speak for the public policy program. We developed ours recently, and it's a really good resource with connecting with alumni from previous years. So of course, social media, LinkedIn, and your department directors right now.
We also do have a newly formed graduate alumni association, like really new, within the last month formed. And so we're going to be doing a lot more centrally through Grad Division to get you all connected to those folks. And then there are also tools that are run by the Alumni Association that are more broadly about connecting you with alums, because as much as you may want to meet grad alums, you also may want to meet even some of our undergrad alums who could be influential in your career. And so on. Gabriella, do you want to add anything else about those kind of connections, either with current students or with alums?
Yeah, second everything that Thomas and you have said. I was trying to actually look for the resource that the Alumni Center actually uses to connect with people. It's like a LinkedIn version just of alumni, and I had an opportunity to take a look at it. And so it's a really great place, like Jillian would say, to connect with others. I think what's really important and really cool about UCI is there's such a strong interest in a disciplinary approach to everything that we do. So I encourage you not to even just reach out to people within your own program and your department, because they'll have a lot of information, but you'll be surprised where our alumni actually go after they graduate UCI. So, you know, be open to the fact of reaching out to other people as well.
So we will try to track down that link for you and drop it in the chat for those of you on the Zoom. If you're either watching this later or you know, you're watching this on the Facebook stream or somewhere else right now, email the answer with everything is email grad@uci.edu, because that will get to the Grad Division staff and they can always route you to the right place. It is in the chat. Thank you, Derek. The Anteater Network. It's antnet, ANTNET.uci.edu. So get onto the Anteater Network. You can search for all kinds of folks that way as well. We've got another couple of questions about career opportunities. So I don't know, we don't actually have our usual Career Center folks on this particular call, so I don't know if anyone wants to raise their hand and say they're up for talking about some of those things. Otherwise, I can try to do what I can. Anyone? Thomas, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm actually really glad we have our University Division of Career Services. When we were on campus, I would typically be there almost every other day. They're hosting consistently networking opportunities. They recently had a very large a job fair, I think over 100 different industries. So definitely look at UCI's Division of Career Services. And of course, my program, and I'm sure everyone else's program, is also very active in helping their students get jobs, because ultimately that's what we're trying to do, get a good education so we can get a good job.
Thank you so much, Thomas. Gabriella, are you looking to add something? I noticed you went on.
Yeah, of course. In addition, we have the Graduate and Postdoctoral Resource Center. I just want to make a point. I don't think any of us mentioned this, but like we're listing all these resources. These are absolutely free to you. It's not a cost that you have to pay in order to use to attend a workshop or to connect with others, attend an event. And the Graduate and Postdoctoral Scholar Resource Center, the handful of words, is a great place for you to actually expand on different skill sets that you might not necessarily get inside the classroom space. So we offer a variety of workshops on communication, mentoring, skill development, and then a lot of stuff on health and wellness. So this is going to help create a well-rounded experience for you as you progress through your graduate journey.
Fantastic, thank you. We do have some questions about vaccinations that are coming through. This is a tricky question right now because we are still somewhat waiting for guidance, especially around COVID vaccinations. So I just want to kind of acknowledge that the situation is ever in flux. What I am starting to understand is that it looks likely that we, and I'm not going to say guaranteed because we don't know, but it looks likely that we will move towards a strong preference that all of our students be vaccinated, but that we would accept vaccinations from other countries and so on, and that we're working towards what we can do to facilitate vaccinations once you arrive. We don't yet know if student health is going to be able to do COVID vaccinations or not. That's still up in the air, but the vaccine supply is looking to be so plentiful here in California that we anticipate that by the summer or the fall, when any of you might arrive, that it would be trivial to walk into any drugstore or other places and be able to get at least your COVID vaccine, no charge, and so on. But there should be more additional information coming from student health and other folks about all of that as we get closer to. Tim, I don't know if you want to talk at all about housing's plans in this regard, or if we're not quite ready for that.
I will actually toss that one to Laura to talk about.
For vaccines and student housing?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Just
sorry,
move in procedures, if you will, related to COVID and so on.
Yeah.
Thank you for the clarification. So right now, we have created in all of the communities a touchless, contactless, but warm move-in. Whether it's at a distance in a space or through a window where we're welcoming folks and able to give you your complimentary thermometer, and we do we do COVID checks, symptom checks at the door, and we check in with you. We do move-in appointments. Some communities do them over Zoom in advance to keep that amount of interaction, and that's going to change. But for now, that's how we're doing the move-ins, where you arrive and you sign up for an appointment, so you're set and ready to go, and then we're able to review basic information with you, and then also send you electronic packets of information for the move-in process. We keep it pretty hands-off. We sure what else to share, but that's the basis right now. We have a pretty hands-off but inclusive move-in. We want it to be seamless for you. Unlike the undergrad experience, we want you to be able to get in, get settled, get started, and know that we're here for you when you have questions, and we'll provide you with a barrage of resources and weekly newsletters and updates and things to keep you informed of what's happening in the community once you join it.
Great, thank you so much. We've got an academic question, a couple of versions of this in the chat, so I will try to condense this into one, which is about taking classes either outside of your major, outside of your school, outside of your program, outside of your degree level, possibly undergrad versus grad, and so on. And I'm going to point those over to Ruth, who is the czar of all things academic.
So the answer to that is it depends. Your programs, graduate programs often have very specific coursework that they expect students to take, and there are allowable electives Some of them may be outside of your program, some of them may not be. Many professional programs don't allow students to take courses outside of their curriculum, their approved curriculum, especially for master's students. PhD students, if they have course requirements, once they're finished with those, they're generally expected to be engaged in research full-time. Having said that, students have occasionally taken undergrad classes, but you need to be aware that that graduate students are expected to be enrolled full-time at UCI, which is a minimum of 12 units of graduate level coursework. If you wish to enroll in an additional course as well as that, basically undergrad courses do not count toward any graduate degree requirements. If you enroll in an undergrad course because it's personal interest and you find yourself halfway through the quarter, not really having time to devote to it, please drop it, because if you get a bad grade in it, it will affect your GPA, which will affect so many other things during your academic career. So it's really not encouraged. Students certainly do it occasionally, depending on their own program requirements and how much time their program takes, which is generally considered full-time. But it's not terribly encouraged because it can cause other problems.
Thank you so much. And I've got a pair of questions I'm going to bounce over to Marcel. So we've got a couple of folks asking about fresh needs and the food pantry and so on, as well as some folks asking about vaccination records. And I don't know if you know the answer to the second one, but I'm hoping that you might be able to tell us a bit more about both.
Right. So I can answer questions about vaccination. So I put in the chat a link to UC's vaccination requirements. And so certainly if you have additional questions about, well, this isn't offered in my country, that we can allow students to finish meeting their vaccination requirements once they've actually already come back here. So if you have some issues about, I can't upload my documents, certainly please connect with Student Health to see if there's some kind of a difficulty around documents. Sometimes they are in a different language and we have difficulty verifying them. Regarding the Fresh Basic Needs Hub, I believe, well, I will put information about that in the chat as well. That reports up through the Dean of Students. But yes, there are all kinds of services that our Fresh Basic Needs Hub can provide. There's also a social worker in that unit that helps students who are presenting with food needs, but who may end up also having some other kinds of needs. And our social workers who do report to me can help with different kinds of needs as well, such as housing insecurity, in addition to food insecurity. So those are our resources that students are entitled to. Any other specific questions? I will put again the websites in the chat so that you can get a sense of who you might want to connect with if you have more specific questions.
Thank you so much. And I'll just add to that, for those kinds of basic needs, whether it's through the social worker, Fresh Basic Needs Hub, or through AGS has a variety of grants as well. We often in grad division have some emergency grants when things go wrong that you weren't expecting and so on. We also have an Associate Dean for Student Success, Jamie Smith, who's not here today, but we hired her explicitly for these kinds of things. So she really reaches out, talks with students, helps shepherd you through what are the different resources on campus and so on. So when you arrive, if you've got questions and concerns, I would really encourage you to meet with Gabriella, meet with Jamie, meet with other folks and get the resources that you need, because we do have a lot of them for all kinds of different needs that you might have. So back to Anna, we've got some questions about timeline. So maybe, I know it's highly variable depending on what's going on, but if you have some sense of once they SIR, when might they hear about their I-20s? Once they've filed their I-20s, when might they get to the next step and so on? Some sense of those ranges would probably be very helpful.
Sure. So so the SIR question and when the department's going to contact the student, it's going to vary by department. So I know that most departments are really on top of the international student documentation, so I would assume that it happens rather quickly. From the time that the department, so the way the I-20 request process works is the student sends the information directly to their academic unit, who then sends it to the International Center. So once we receive it at the International Center, it's about a 2-week turnaround. So 2 full weeks. The good thing about this year is that we don't have to worry about mailing the I-20. So once we issue it, you will get a email through DocuSign with your I-20, and you will actually download the I-20. You do still have to print it out. So you will print it out, and you would take that to the US consulate. The timeline for when visa appointments are going to be available, that's a tough one to answer, because I don't have the answer now. But what I would encourage you to do now is know what city you plan to apply for your visa at. Get on their website, try to find out if they are taking appointments, when they might be taking appointments. They have indicated that student visas will be prioritized. So that's good for us. What that really means, I don't know, but we're going to assume that prioritizing is knowing that there is a timeline. You have to be here by September to start school, and some of your programs start in August, right? So what we know is that they are working on opening up their consulates, and they do want our students to be able to enter the country in time to start your program. So for now, while you're waiting to get all that visa paperwork from the university, I encourage you to see what the timelines are at the consulates so that you're prepared. I think I answered that question.
Yes, that's great. Thank you so much. And as always, if you have specific questions about your specific case, please do send an email to the International Center, and they will get to you. This is a very busy time of year, as you might imagine, for the International Center. So give them a couple of days, but they will certainly respond. So we are running a little bit close to our end time. So I want to make sure that we get to any final questions. We've still got a lot in here. We've answered about 50 of them so far, but we've got some more. We've had a few questions. I've never had so many IT questions in a town hall, but just to tell you how much we care, I have been texting with the Chief Information Officer for the entire campus during this town hall, and he's been very responsive and getting the help desk to try to answer some of these things. The question that some folks have about the OFAS scholarships page, that seems to be potentially a little glitch. So if you can't get to that particular page, contact the help desk. There shouldn't be the Duo link. It should be sending you to a Slate page, which you should all be able to get to. So contact the help desk and they will help you with your UCI net IDs. You should be able to get those fairly quickly. And if you're having any trouble, again, contact the OIT help desk. And if you were admitted previously and already had a UCI net ID, as long as nothing has changed, you should still be able to use that. We saw that question a few times in the Q&A. So there you go. There's our IT support for the day. I'm sure the folks over at OIT are very flattered. They don't usually get this much attention in these kinds of town halls. So we do have some questions about pursuing internships. And I will just say to you, this is generally something that we are growing on the campus for the graduate programs. Our students in engineering and ICS are fairly used to getting internships, but more and more other parts of the campus are, and the Division of Career Pathways that you heard a little bit about earlier helps with that. We are also helping with that within grad division and other places. And so if you are in a STEM eligible field, we do encourage those. If you're not, then as I understand it, Anna, the work requirements are sort of limited to on-campus employment. Did I say that correctly?
That's correct.
Fantastic. So that's great. And so we certainly encourage you to reach out to folks. Our students have a lot of success getting internships. Orange County is a very industry-friendly place to be, but also many of our students go up to Silicon Valley. They might go to Seattle, other places to intern while they're here. And so the rest of these questions look like a lot of very detailed questions that I'm going to encourage you with your very specific question about your program to reach out to your graduate program advisors. If you're not sure who that is, again, grad@UCI will help you, and reach out to our staff as well, and we can help answer those. If you have a detailed visa related question, please reach out to the International Center. If you have a detailed housing related question, please reach out to Gretchen and their team there, and they will work through all of those things. So with that, I'm just going to ask, we've only got a couple of minutes left, and I do try to always end these on time. If there's anyone on our panel that feels like they really want to say something that we missed, or answer one of these questions that we still have open, because we have been cruising through them, but I want to make sure we didn't miss anything really important. So just wave at me if you think you've got one more thing you want to add. No? All right. Well, again, I want to congratulate all of you for being admitted to our programs. And I want to really encourage you all to take advantage of all of the resources that you've heard about today. We've got some other questions about where to work on campus. Many of our graduate students work as teaching assistants, readers, graduate student research assistants, and so on. Get in touch with your grad program chairs about those kinds of resources and employment when you arrive, or even before. Sometimes folks are looking in the summer. Please make sure to email grad@uci.edu if we can answer any other questions. And for those of you who are up in the middle of the night, go to bed. And for those of you who this is very early in the morning, I hope that you can go get a cup of tea or coffee and start a beautiful day that will end with you SIRing yes to come here to UCI if you haven't done so already. So thank you again to all of our wonderful panelists, and for all of the students who asked so many great questions. We really appreciate you.